Christmas message begins with a story. About a week before Christmas, a family bought a new nativity scene. Now, when they unpacked it, they found they had two figures of the baby Jesus. Someone must have packed it wrong, the mother said, counting out the figures. We've got one Joseph, one Mary, 3 wise men, 3 shepherds, 2 lambs, a donkey, a cow, an angel, and 2 babies. Oh dear. I suppose a set at the shop is missing a baby Jesus. You two ran back to the shop, she told the children, and tell the manager that we have an extra Jesus. Tell him to put a sign on the remaining boxes saying that if a set is missing a baby Jesus, call this phone number. Now, the manager of the shop copied down the mother's message, and the next time they were in the shop, they saw the little cardboard sign there. All week long, they waited for someone to call. Surely, they thought, someone was missing this important figure. Every time the phone rang, the mother would say, I bet that's about Jesus. But it never was. The father tried to explain that there was thousands of these sets all scattered over the country, and a figurine could be missing from a set a long way away. He suggested, just put the extra Jesus back in the box and forget about it. Put Jesus back in the box? What a terrible thing to do, said the children. Surely someone will call, the mother said. We'll just keep 2 of them together in the manger until somebody calls. When no one had called by 5 o'clock on Christmas Eve, the mother insisted that the father just goes down to the shop once more to see if there are any sets left. But all the sets had been sold. And when I got back to the house, they noticed that the mother was gone. And so the extra baby Jesus figure. So they reasoned somebody must have called and she's gone to deliver this baby Jesus. Then the phone rang again and the father yelled, answer the phone and tell them we found a home for Jesus. But it was the mother again calling for instructions to come to a house and bring food and blankets. So when they got to this house, it was the darkest one in the street. Only one tiny light burned in the living room, and the moment they set foot on the porch steps, the mother opened the door and shouted, they're here! Thank goodness! Please take these blankets into the living room and wrap up the little ones sitting on the sofa. The mother explained there wasn't any heat in the house, and this young mother is so upset she doesn't know what to do. Her husband had walked out on her, and these poor children would have a very bleak Christmas. The mother strode off to the kitchen to warm some milk, while the brother and sister wrapped up the 5 little children who were huddled together. The children's mother explained that the husband had run off taking bedding, clothing, and it was every piece of furniture in the house. But she'd been doing okay until the heating broke down. Then she remembered the phone number on the card at the shop. If you're missing Jesus, call this number. I'm not missing Jesus, she said. I love the Lord, but I am missing heat. I have no money to fix the furnace. She noticed the figure of the baby Jesus lying in the centre of the table there. It was the only sign of Christmas in this house. The children stared wide-eyed with wonder at the plate of Christmas cookies the mother set before them. Finally, the father got the heating working again. And by the end of that night, the family had presents and food gathered from people around, clothing and gifts for the family. No one ever did call about the missing figure in the nativity set. But perhaps it wasn't a packing mistake after all. We all love stories at Christmas. We love to see the children act out what is an amazing story of the Nativity. But behind all of this is a reality that God, in the form of a baby, came to us to bring hope. When we watch all those special TV programs at Christmas, it is interesting how many of them are about families being reunited, loved ones in faraway places, tales of hardships and suffering, all designed to pull at our heartstrings, especially at this time of year. But if we are moved by scenes of sorrow and joy, how much more moved should we be to realise that the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords has visited our world, to cry with us, to rejoice with us, and to help us over the hurts and bumps of life itself. When we realise that, then peace on earth and goodwill towards men becomes easier and perhaps more realistic. One final thing that God gave at Christmas time when he gave Jesus is hope for the future. Because you know what kept the shepherds going on that hillside? It was hope. God had made a promise to their people. He would one day send a Messiah, the anointed one. And when the Messiah came, everything would be right again. And that hope burned in the hearts and the lives of the people of Israel. You know what kept the wise men going? It was hope. Every night they would go out and search the heavens looking for that star of promise. And they knew when they saw it, they must follow wherever it led them, because it was a sign from God and it promised the birth of a king. And God brings hope to us at Christmas. That impossible dream, peace on earth, goodwill towards men. Maybe the poor will always be hungry. And maybe we will always have to deal with the terror and crime and violence we see every day in our world and on our news. But there's one thing to keep us going. That is the hope that one day heaven is going to open and God will come back. And the dream will be fulfilled of peace and goodwill for all eternity. Christmas made the difference. God wrapped up a gift and gave it. Now he stands back and waits to see what we will do. The question has to be, will you receive it with joy? Or will you treat it as many of the Israelites did, with indifference and rejection, the same as Herod? God waits to see, because what we do with the gift is also what we do with him. If we accept the gift, then we receive him and his forgiveness and his help and his hope. But if we reject it, then we also reject God. God offers that gift again today and waits to see what we will do. I pray that you will receive him with open arms and love this Christmas, and you extend his invitation to others as well. Amen.